think of when you hear that music? For some, it takes us back to childhood. For others, we think of happy times with our kids. And some of us are anchored to a favorite Disney movie. My name is Laura Waage, and for me, it's all of those things and more. I've spent my life as a Disney enthusiast, and from the time I was just 2 years old, my parents could see that Disney meant more to me than it did to the average kid. You see, I didn't want to just experience the magic. I wanted to be part of the magic. And as I grew, so did my enthusiasm for Disney. But not just for the parks and the fun, but for the man and the principles and the recipe behind the magic. In my early 20s, I found myself in a corporate sales position, and being a success in sales was extremely important to me. I saw sales as my means to have the type of financial freedom that I'd always wanted. Now, I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to become a success in sales, but I was very confident that if I dug deeper into the principles that made Walt Disney a success, I too could duplicate that and control my own destiny. So I studied those principles, tested, retested, and boiled them down to the most important principles that, if I took consistent action on, would shape the course of my future in sales. By putting these principles into play and walking the talk, I became a top producer in my field, but that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to take those principles to a higher level. So in 2009, I made the jump from employee to entrepreneur and leveraged those principles, those very clues that Walt left behind, to create my own destiny. And those principles continue to serve me today. So I am so excited to be able to share them with you. Let's get started. The first sales principle that I adopted from Walt is to have unwavering belief in what you sell. Walt was a shining example of this. He had unshakable belief in himself and his projects, even when those around him thought he was crazy. His passion and his belief beamed from him, and his enthusiasm was contagious. He had an uncanny ability to draw one into his passion by sharing his ideas in a way that made you feel like you were part of the story. And once you envisioned yourself as a part of it, it was nearly impossible not to support it. Now, Disneyland is a great example of Walt's unwavering belief. When it was in the planning phases, Walt could already see it. He could feel it. He was already experiencing it. But he needed to sell his belief to others in order to attract prospects or potential future guests and secure additional funding. So Walt leveraged video marketing, yes, video marketing in the 50s to enroll others and put his belief on display. Let me show you an example.
Here now to tell you about it is Walt Disney.
Welcome. I guess you all know this little fella here. It's an old partnership. Mickey and I started out the first time many years ago. We've had a lot of our dreams come true. Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream. That's it, right here. Disneyland, seen from about 2,000 feet in the air and 10 months away. I want to tell you about it because later on in the show you'll find that Disneyland the place and Disneyland the TV show are all part of the same. We hope that it will be unlike anything else on this earth. A place of hopes and dreams, facts and fancy, all in one. Now, next year, our television show will be coming from this Disneyland. But this year, we want you to see and share with us the experience of building this dream into a reality.
Walt was such a pioneer and truly one of the greatest salesmen the world has ever seen. He didn't cave into critics or entertain rejection or care what others thought. He just kept believing in what he was selling. You see, when you have unshakable belief in what you sell or represent, then it becomes a part of you. And the moment that it does, you no longer have to focus on closing the sale, because the close just becomes a natural extension of the sales process itself. So ask yourself, Do you have unwavering belief in your product or service? Because if you don't, how do you expect your customers to? Now, the second sales principle that I learned from Walt is to set proper expectations and then exceed them. Walt was once quoted as saying, "Our goal at Disneyland is to set the right expectations and always give the people more than they expect. As long as we keep surprising them, they'll keep coming back. But if they ever stop coming, it'll cost us 10 times that much to get them to come back." You see, if you meet expectations, your customers will be satisfied. And if you exceed expectations, your customers will be impressed. But if you exceed expectations consistently, your customers will become loyal. And in sales, isn't that what we're all after? A loyal customer base that generates repeat and referral business. Now, Walt knew the importance of this, and he instilled it as part of the Disney culture from day one. Let's look at a few examples of this. When planning a Disney vacation, you can request a vacation planning kit, which includes a DVD. Again, more video marketing. Now, this DVD tells you what to expect on your vacation, and it also sells the benefits of staying at a Disney resort. So they've included upselling. Now, you feel and you experience the magic when you watch this DVD. So your expectation has been set. But once you are on vacation, Disney then over-delivers in unexpected ways, turning its customers into loyal, raving fans. Let's look at another example. Disney is very good at communicating wait time expectations as well. And often the line is actually shorter than what they post. So again, they're staying focused on setting clear expectations and then exceeding them so that they create loyal customer base. In sales, it's generally not what's said that's the issue. It's what's not said that creates problems later in the sales cycle. So ask yourself, have you clearly defined customer expectations? Have you set yourself up for success in exceeding them? Remember, clear expectations coupled with over-delivery equals loyal customers and sales success. The third principle that I adopted from Walt is to gather feedback, then act on it. To persuade, motivate, or sell, you must first understand. So essentially, you need to walk a mile in your customer's shoes. Then once you understand, use this feedback to improve, whether it's improving your personal sales skills, enhancing a product or a service, or whatever the case may be. Walt would always say that feedback is best heard through many ears. And he was always seeking feedback from everywhere, and then comparing the responses and putting things into action. As an example, Walt would walk around Disneyland, asking the guests questions and experiencing Disneyland through their eyes. Walt would also walk around competitive parks, asking people there what they liked and disliked about those parks. Competitor insight is very, very important. Now, Walt solicited ideas, opinions, suggestions, and complaints. He wanted feedback from every angle so that they could improve. And because gathering feedback through many ears was one of Walt's core beliefs, acting on this feedback has been an ongoing part of Disney's business model and a huge contributing factor to their success. Here's just a few of the ways that Disney gathers feedback. When you go online, there are online surveys at every turn. I've come across them when I'm planning a trip, when I've just gotten back from a trip, and when I'm shopping online. They're always looking for feedback at every turn. And they also conduct live surveys so that they can get your feedback while you're in the middle of having the experience. Now, it doesn't take much to gather feedback, but little changes can often make a huge difference in sales success. So invite your customers and your prospects to tell you what those little changes would be, and then take action. And with technology these days, it's so easy to get feedback from clients and prospects. After all, everyone has an opinion. You just have to ask for it. So find out, what changes can you make that would have the biggest impact on your sales, and how quickly can you act on them? The fourth principle that I adopted from Walt Disney is to dance with the one who brought you. Now, this is amazing to me, but Disney has a 70% guest return rate. And it's because they understand the value of repeat business, and they put more emphasis on customers than they do on prospects. The reality is, customer satisfaction is no longer enough to ensure customer loyalty or retention. In fact, according to the Harvard Business Review, 65 to 85% of customers who chose a new company said that they were satisfied or even very satisfied with their former supplier, proving that in today's marketplace, a company has to exceed customer expectations in order to achieve true customer loyalty. So what does it mean to dance with the one who brought you? It means to plus the experience for your customers so that they don't want to do business with anyone except you. Disney does this in a multiple of ways. For one, if you're an annual passport holder, then Disney gives such perks such as free parking, 15% discount on meals, and 20% off of merchandise. For guests who stay at a Disney resort, some of their benefits include things like extra magic hours, free transportation to and from the airport, and Disney-themed toiletries. Now, themed toiletries might not seem like a big deal to you, but as a parent, I can tell you that one of the things that my daughter looked forward to most when we would stay at a Disney resort was the themed toiletries that she was going to be able to take home with her. And to this day, she still has Disney-themed toiletries in her bathroom that she brings out when guests come to visit. These types of small steps that Disney takes in dancing with the one who brought them amount to huge paybacks in customer retention. And imagine the difference it would make in each of our sales success if we had a 70% retention rate. So ask yourself, do you spend more focus on your prospects or on your customers? And what extras could you add to your client experience to drive their loyalty and make them your customer for life? The fifth principle that I adopted from Walt is to sell more to your existing customers. Now, there's a reason that I'm sharing these principles in the order that I am, and it's because this process is truly sequential. First, we started with belief, then we set proper expectations, then we gathered feedback, next we plussed the experience for our existing clients, and now that they love us and they are raving fans, it's time to give them more opportunities to buy. This is where having a marketing funnel and understanding how to pull your clients through that funnel is extremely important. Disney has great examples of this at every turn. One example is the Disney Vault. Disney's classic animated films are periodically released for a limited time, and then they go back into the Disney Vault. And here's what's really cool, is that each time there's a new technology, Disney takes advantage of the opportunity and does another limited release. So it started with VHS, then DVD, and now Blu-ray. So it's important to note that they understand how outside factors can impact their clients' buying cycles. Now, another great example is at the parks themselves. For those of you who have been to a Disney theme park, you know that the exit for each ride is going to drop you into a store. But to take it a step further, in Disneyland, the stores are specific to the ride. So as an example, when you get to the end of the Star Tours ride, there's Star Wars gear and toys that are sold in that store. Now, not only is this a lesson in selling more to existing customers, but it's also about understanding your client segment. Just as Disney wouldn't sell princess costumes at the end of the Star Tours ride because they'd be missing the mark of their target audience, you want to make sure that you are selling the right product to the right customer segment at the right time. So ask yourself, do you truly know your customer segments? And do you market and upsell to each segment specifically? Or are you guilty of having princess costumes in your Star Tours store? The sixth principle that I adopted from Walt is to always improve and expand. And if you follow the sequence of the other principles, then by the time you're ready to improve and expand, you've already received and studied the feedback of your clients. So taking action and improving is a natural extension. Now, Disney has some great examples of improvements, both large and small, that they made in response to guest feedback. One of them is the child swap program. And no, this isn't swapping your child for someone else's, but rather was created for parents who want to ride an attraction that their kids are too small for. So with this program, one parent waits at the exit with the child while the other parent waits in line and then rides the ride. And when they exit the ride, they swap with the parent at the exit so that the second parent can ride without having to wait in line again. This was one of the changes that Disney made as a result of feedback. Another great improvement was Fast Passes. This is the ability to reserve a time to ride without having to wait in line. This also came as a result of guest feedback and, more importantly, complaints in regards to time lost waiting in line. And one of my all-time favorite examples is the Phantom boat ride. These were gas-powered boats which were always breaking down, and as a result, this ride quickly got a bad rap. But as Disney received this feedback, they evaluated how they could reuse the space, and it was quickly renovated to become the Submarine Voyage, which turned the Phantom boat failure into a major attraction success. Now, over the years, the Submarine Voyage lost its exciting appeal, so in response to customer feedback, the attraction was retrofitted again to become the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage. Ooh, Nemo, how did you get in there? Sorry. So back to improving and expanding. Take a minute to truly evaluate your business and ask yourself, do you have a Phantom boat ride? Is there a product or service that could be improved or maybe expanded to drive more sales and increase your customer retention? Now, the seventh and final principle that I adopted from Walt, and probably the one that has guided my personal and professional life more than any other, is to be a finisher and never give up. Being in sales brought new meaning to the word rejection for me. And in my early sales days, there were many, many times when I questioned myself and my ability to succeed. But none more so than when I was 24 and I had lost over a dozen sales in a row. And my confidence, let me tell you, was absolutely shattered. Now, it was on a Saturday, and I was at home giving serious contemplation to giving up on my sales career when I sat down to watch a PBS documentary about Walt. The underlying theme was perseverance. Now, Walt had countless obstacles that he overcame, but the one that really stuck out to me that day were the trials that Walt faced in selling Disneyland to financiers. You see, Walt was actually turned down 302 times before successfully securing financing for Disneyland. 302 times. And here I was ready to give up after a dozen lost sales. Now, Disneyland has been a cornerstone in my life. But what would have happened if Walt had not persevered? What would have happened if he had given up? I almost gave up. And if I had, I would not be where I am today. I wouldn't have enjoyed the life that I have, or helped the people that I've helped, or forged the relationships that I've created. That was a frying pan moment. Do you know the kind that I'm talking about, where the obvious nature of something hits you so hard you can't ignore it? That lesson taught me to always be a finisher and never, ever give up. One of my favorite Walt Disney quotes is this: "All your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them." So ask yourself, what are your sales goals and dreams? And what daily actions are you taking to achieve them? Now, there's 3 things that I know for sure. Number 1, I know that success leaves clues. Number 2, Walt did amazing things in his life and left lots of clues behind. And number 3, my professional success skyrocketed when I picked up these clues and applied these 7 principles to my sales approach. So in closing, I just want to share one last quote by Walt. I reject luck. I feel every person creates his own determinism by discovering his best aptitudes and following them undeviatingly. I'm Laura Waage, and I hope that you have enjoyed my approach to salesmanship the Disney way, and I look forward to hearing your stories and comments about how you've discovered your best aptitudes and followed them undeviatingly. Shine bright and bye for now.